G'day viewers, something different today. In today's video I'm going to be processing a mixture of pretty much anything that's got gold in it. So we've got IC chips, small ones, we've got bigger ones, we've got square ones, we've got LED globes, bits of board that have some chips on there, plus it's got gold on there, bits of camera right in the middle of the camera, all kinds of things. Pretty much anything that needs gold or has gold in it, except transistors. I haven't got those separate, they're for another video. Anything else, there's no BGAs or gold corner BGAs. I'm talking about all things with legs. So there's transistors, the little round ones that are flat on one side but 3 legs. They're buried in there. There's all kinds of things. It's a mixture of anything that has legs that would be crushed and burnt and treated the same way. So we'll get some scales and we'll see what we've got to start with. Not that it matters, because there's no point in starting with a weight, because this is going to differ every time you make it. It could be different amounts of ICs or boards or globes or whatever, so there's no way that anyone could replicate exactly how much I've got here. So we'll just say that it's a decent sized bucket and it's almost half full. Now I can tell you it weighs at least 1 kilo, probably more, probably 1.5 to 2 kilos. So we're going to put these in the fire now and roast them, and then come back when it's time to crush them. Alright, so all the chips have been burnt, the whole dish there full of them, and now I've got to crush them. I'm going to use my mini crusher, but there's something I've got to show you inside. I need to do a modification to it. For now it'll be okay, but after this, these shackles are starting to wear down. That one's not so bad. This one here is only half the thickness at the end here, and it's seized up, so you must have some stuff stuck in there. That's better. So these shackles are wearing down to the point where they're going to need to be replaced, and rather than do that, I want to modify them. See how the shackle doesn't come right to the very edge? What happens is I get a build-up of powder around the edge, and any small pieces that didn't get crushed can blend in with that powder and just sit there. There's nothing to keep it moving. And also, because it's just a bit deshackled, the air can pass through it. What I want to do is weld a piece of flat steel plate across the bottom half of the shackle and have it come down almost to the edge. So it does one of two things: it scrapes the edge and keeps everything moving, but also it'd be like a paddle, and it would cause the air to flow around and help everything keep moving and moving and moving. So after this job, I'm going to take the shackles off. First I'll mark where they go, put a bit of flat steel in there just off the edge, and then mark on here where it's got to go, and then weld it on. I'll weld it to both of them, and then that'll fix that problem. So I'll put it all back together, and I've got a little scoop. I'm going to scoop ashes and chips and stuff into here and get it all crushed. I'll get these put on and I'll come back. So this should probably be too noisy to talk while it's happening anyway, so I'll just run a little bit and show you. So the way this is designed, I can fill the tube up and it's not in line with the grinder until I swing this around where it lines up. So I'll get the grinder going, and then I'll slowly move this into place, and that'll all fall down in there. And once I've run a fair bit and I think it's all choked up in there, I'll dip it out into the sieve. I've got a sieve on top of the bucket where I can sieve out all the fine powder, and then whatever doesn't go through the sieve I can put back in. So that's what I'm going to do. going to come out the top if I tip it upside down, but I will have to eventually open it up because a lot of it will stick inside it. You see, it does a good job of reducing it to powder. It'll be better once I've done the modifications. And mostly what's there now is just circuit dies and maybe some small bits of steel and legs, copper legs, whatever they are. Some are steel, some are copper, but I don't see any bits of chip that aren't broken. I'll put it back through for a second time just in case. It's better when the machine's running because it gets hit on the way down rather than just sitting on the bottom. Alright, so I'll open it up and show you what I mean, how it all binds up in there, and then I'll do the rest of it off camera. And I think the modifications that I'm going to do will be make a vast improvement, and also as it wears down from being used I can just keep adding new plate. I'm dropping all the wing nuts everywhere. A lot of it gets stuck on here, so I've got to brush that off with a brush. I'll do that at the end though. And look at the powder, there's quite a bit of powder in there. So after shaking it, there's still quite a bit of residue stuck in there and around the edges, and that's what I was talking about. A lot of it sticks on there, and if I was doing, you know, a couple of kilos, it would bind up quite thick on there. You can see a bit of gold straight in there. Don't know if you can see that in the light. So I'll carry on with this and I'll come back when it's done. Well, I don't know how well you can hear me because of the traffic here today, but the chips are all crushed now, and I'm going to do a gravity separation, which is leaving all the ash, separating the ash from all the good stuff. And there's plenty of ways of doing it, lots of videos on it. The way I do it, I think, is the best. I use a large bucket so it doesn't all splish out, and I use a lot of force. First off, just soak it all with a soaker attachment just to get it going, but then I put it on jet and I use it to force the move all the stuff around. You can see there's hydrophobic dust floating on the surface at the moment. I'm assuming you can see that. By the time I finish with it, that won't happen because it's all been forced into the water and hydrated, whatever you want to call it. And then I let it settle for just a few seconds. Anything heavy, gold or whatever, will settle, and then I pour off all the ash water, and I do that over and over and over and over until the water pours off clear. Then I can pour the water off in here gently, and any hard stuff that made it over, put back in here and go again. So I'll do a little bit, but the traffic's bad, so I thought I'd explain. You can see if I was using a small bucket, all this would have been flying out of the bucket. Now I do have a couple of drops of dish powder in there, dish soap, and anything that's floating now is like oils and fine ash, which has got nothing in there for us anyway. So now that it's settled for just that 10 seconds or whatever, pour it off. I don't go all the way, most of the way, so there's still a lot of liquid in there, and just keep doing that over and over and over. So I'll come back when that's done. And now all the sediment has been gravity separated, and I don't know if there's going to be silver in there or not. Some things contain silver and some don't. So what I need to do now is remove the tap water that I was using to wash it out by putting some distilled water in and rinsing it and draining out the water, and put more in and rinse it out and drain out the water, and keep doing that until I'm fairly certain that all the chlorinated water is out of there, because I don't want the silver to fall out as silver chloride if there's any silver in there. So I'll give that a rinse now, and then once I've got it all cleaned up, I'll put it in a beaker and put solution on, and I'll come back. Alright, I've rinsed the sediment with fresh water, not fresh water, distilled water, and now I've put the sediment into the beaker, put some more distilled water in there, and I'm going to put some nitric acid in. It doesn't mean any specific amount, because I'm not making aqua regia. I'm only putting it in there to consume the base metals, and there's a lot in there. There's also the coarse material, the legs in there, they've all got to be consumed. So I'll put about that much in, put a lid on top, and I'm going to put it on the heat, and when that reaction dies down, I'll put some more in and see if it flares up again. Then I'll know there's more to consume. Once the reaction stops and there's no new reaction when I put more in, then I know that all the base metals are gone, and then I can filter it off and then put aqua regia in. So I'll do that, and I'll come back when it's time to do aqua regia. Now, one question I get asked all the time is people have this scenario where they're left with a brown solution, and they say, what is it and how do I deal with it? Well, it's really simple. Some of the legs on the ICs would have been copper and some are steel. As nitric is an oxidizer, it's made the steel rust. So all that brown is just rust. And how you deal with that? You put more nitric in. Since nitric consumes steel, and rust is biodegraded steel, nitric consumes rust. So I've just put a big pile in. As you can see, there's a mad reaction going, and I'll keep putting some in until all the brown goes, and you're back to normal coloured solution, probably a green or a blue, whatever it be. All that rust will go. Most times you'll notice that when you turn it off, all the rust will settle at the bottom. You'll have a brown patch at the bottom, and when it's cooking and it's all stirred up like now, it goes everywhere, like it's all through the solution. So don't panic, just put more nitric in. Alright. Oh my god, this video is taking so long. It's taken at least a week. I've had nothing but trouble. Power tripping off. Now this beaker's broken for no reason. It's been on heat, no one's touched it. and it's just decided to crack. All the fluids ran out. I've had another break as well. This is a different video, but that beaker got broken. I'm just having a drama after drama with this video. So where we're up to is I had drained out a lot of the solution because it was getting full from adding more and more and more, and I started a new batch of dilute nitric. I've tested some of the nitric, the old nitric that I poured off, and there's no silver. That was from the first batch of nitric, and there's no silver in there. So now I've got to try and, because I've got to pour all that out of the dish and transfer everything from that beaker into this one I just washed. I'm going through beakers like they're going out of fashion. So I got no idea why the power tripped. I got no idea why the beaker broke. But I was going to try and transfer all the solids into this beaker, and I'm still trying to get rid of the rust. I've added so much nitric, it's not funny, and the rust is going, but very slowly. So I've got to do that now, and next time I've got something to show you, it'll be in this beaker. Hopefully I can get this finished soon. I'm just waiting for all the base metals and the rust to go so I can put Acaridgia in there. I may even just not worry about the rest of the base metals and just go straight to Acaridgia. I don't know yet. I'm trying to get rid of all that rust. Once I get rid of the rust, I'll be happy. Well, I finally got rid of the rust. So now it's time to pour off that solution. Rinse out the debris. Make sure I get rid of all the solution. And then I can put it in some Acaridgia. Time to see how much gold we can get. So I boiled the sediment in Acaridgia to dissolve the gold. I thought I had the camera running, but it wasn't. And now it's cooling down, and I'm going to filter it out and then drop the gold. When I filtered out the nitric solution, I had a few different filters going at once to make it quicker, and some sediment went into each filter. So I've incorporated those filters back into the solution in case any gold went into the filter. I doubt there would have been, but just in case. Anyway, so now it's all finished boiling in AR. I'm going to start filtering this off, and we drop the gold. It's a very dark solution, which is normal for the first time round, but it's clean, free from any debris. The cotton balls are catching it quite nicely. There's two in there as well, and coffee filters. So as long as it comes through clear without any debris, doesn't matter about the colour, because that will change when you refine it. You'll see on the next refine it'll be a nice golden colour. So it's coming along nicely. Gold has all been filtered, gold solution, Acaridgia, or chloroauric acid as it's meant to be called. And I'm just dissolving some SMB, quite a concentrated solution. A few little bits on the bottom I'm just trying to break up. And I'll pour this in and see what we get. I'll have to squirt this out, and you probably won't see a colour change because it's already a dark solution, but I'll just leave that for a few hours and then come back and do a stannous test, make sure I got it all. If need be, I'll put some more in. So I'll just squirt this out now and come back. It's the next day, and let's see if I can put this in the light and you can see through it. Not really, it's a dark solution. So I don't even know how much gold's in there, and it hasn't seemed to have cleared of all that much. So I'll do a stannous test in case there's still some gold in solution. There could very well be. I don't have any room left to put any more dissolved SMB, so if I need to I might just put powder in. Yeah, see, there's gold in suspension. It's floating all through the liquid. What I could do is boil it, and it helps to make the gold sink. But obviously if I boiled it that full, it would just overflow. There's no point in even testing it. I'll try, but you can see there's gold on there from what's floating in the suspension. It's too hard to tell since it was already dark. What I might do is, I've got another beaker here. It's a bit dirty, but it's an empty beaker. I'll just pour half into that, and then I can boil it for a while. See if I can get it to settle a bit more. Otherwise the whole lot will have to go through a filter. I'd rather not do that. So I'll get it to drop more if I can, and then if it clears up, then I'll be able to test the solution to see if there's more gold in there. So this beaker's a bit manky, needs a wash, but I'm in kind of a hurry, and I'm only boiling it. I don't need to clean it just yet, so I'll pour half of it into there, and I've only got one hot plate, so I have to boil one at a time and see if it makes it settle nice and easy. If it doesn't, then it's a filter job. It'll take the next few days to do. As I started pouring it into here, I could start seeing the gold easier, and there is a nice thick layer in there, which is nice. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I could get all the solution off and just start cleaning the gold, and then see if any gold drops afterwards out of that. But that's a lot of mucking around. I think I'll just put half of it back in here and then boil both of them like I was going to. I had this one on the heat yesterday. It was up to here, and I boiled it for ages, probably 2 or 3 hours, and it reduced right down, which is good because there's less to deal with. And then I went and put the other one on the heat and boiled that one for a couple of hours, and that one also reduced down. So now I've only got half as much solution, and you can see the gold. I hope you can see that. There's no sunlight yet to have a look. The solution is a lot more clearer. So what I'm going to do is just filter everything. I'll put both of them through a filter and collect the gold, because it's got to be refined anyway. So I'll try and pour off as much liquid as I can without any gold escaping, and then I'll send the rest through a filter, and then refine it. We'll come back once this is all filtered and we're ready to go. Let me know in the comments if you guys have ever had a difficult solution to deal with. It's just lucky for me with the experience I've got that I know how to overcome it. But a new person would say, what do? I don't know what's going wrong, you know. But yeah, sometimes you just have to be patient, let it sit, see if it settles overnight. Try boiling it, it often helps. And worst comes to worst, collect it in a filter. I much prefer to have the gold powder stay at the bottom and then wash it thoroughly in a beaker, especially when I'm going to melt it, because I don't like burning gold that's in paper. When the paper always flies out of the dish, and I'm worried there's gold on it, whereas if you put wet gold powder into a melt dish, it's so much easier. So I always try and keep my gold powder in the beaker. But since I'm going to refine it, it won't matter if it goes into a filter. And then I just put the filter into another beaker and start again. I'll get a clean beaker to start refining it with. So, okay, I got all the gold collected, and time to refine it. So I'm going to put that into a small beaker and redissolve it. I put some hydrochloric acid in first. That should be plenty. Doesn't need to be any specific amount. I just like to put enough in there to cover it. And now with the nitric acid, this is where a lot of people go wrong. You don't go by percentages, and I know there's recipes out there, but you just do 1 mil, 2 mil, whatever. Even that's plenty there. It's probably about 1 mil. It's always better to put a little bit, and then you can always add more than you need. Otherwise, if you put too much, then you've got to denox it. Doing it step by step, what do they call it? Incremental additions is far better, because you're not wasting nitric acid. If you have to denox it, you're just killing off nitric acid. What's the point in wasting it? So I'll put that on the heat now, and if it needs a little bit more, I can always put a little bit more in. Filtered the solution, and it hasn't really come through as clear as I'd like. I mean, that is nice and clear, but I reckon I can get better. I'm going to do one pass through a funnel with some cotton balls in there. It's worth taking the effort and the time to get it right, because the clearer you get it, the better the gold drop. Obviously anything that you can remove now would be an impurity. So I'm going to put that through cotton ball, and then I can put some SMB in there, drop the gold. See how much better that looks? Like, you might have thought, oh, that was okay before, but look at the difference. You know, you do things like this, and that's when you're going to get your purity. Got some SMB dissolving in water. This is food grade SMB, so it takes a while to dissolve. I don't know why. I just find it easier to put it in some water ahead of time and let it dissolve by the time this is ready. So look at the cotton ball. Look at the dirt caught in there, and you couldn't see it in the liquid before. Just goes to show. 2 cotton balls there, and look how nice it's coming out. That's amazing. It's going to be a nice drop. Oh, look at that. That's a nice clear solution. That's what you want. Put some SMB in there. Should be a colour change in a minute. There's not a strong amount of gold in there, so it probably will take a little while. But when there's lots and lots of gold, it'll be like instant. When there's not much gold in there, it takes its time. So I'm just going to let this sit for a few hours, and I'll come back. I put probably too much water in as well, which diluted it too much. And it's not going to matter, it will still drop, just not going to be as obvious if I just put a little bit in. So I've still got some more in here, and some more powder that hasn't quite dissolved. I'll do a stannous test in a minute. Someone's just arrived at my house, so once they've left, I'll come and do a stannous test, see if I've got all the gold out. If not, I'll put some more in. It's only been half an hour, and you can see it's already gone dark. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer, but I'd say it's going to take a while to completely settle, so I'll check it in the morning. If I try and do a stannous test now, all the gold that's in suspension will just make the paper dirty, and you won't be able to tell, like last time. So I'll wait till it's all settled and then do a stannous test. It's next day, and it's dropped really nicely. I'm not real happy with the colour of the solution. It's not as clear as I like. There's some sort of contaminant in there, but look how nicely it's settled. So we'll do a stannous test just to see if I've got all the gold. I'm pretty sure I have. Yep, that's a negative. All the gold's dropped. Alright, so I'll pour this off into my gold wash vessel. Hopefully it all stays at the bottom nicely. That's a nice layer of gold down there. It's very dirty gold, as you can see, and it's very fine. I can see they're really fine particulate, so probably not going to amount to much, but we'll see. So we'll go through the wash process. I know you've seen it a million times, but for those that are new, start off with 3 boiling hot water washes. Swish it around, make sure it really washes all the gold. And settling nice and fast. Not sure if you can see that. There's a clump down the bottom here. I like it when it settles fast like that. The big round blob in the middle there. It's already settled, look. Doesn't even want to move off the bottom. That's a good sign. Hopefully that means it's really dense. See, it just settles right in the middle straight away. Look at that, that's unreal. You don't see that happen very often. Look at that, unbelievable. One more water wash.
Yeah. Stop being so vain.
Right, it doesn't even want to move. It's very heavy. I don't recall the last time I've seen gold do that. That's nice and heavy. That's crazy. That is a thick blob of gold. That is really good. Look at that. Alright, so now, actually I'll do one more hot water wash because I've got plenty of water here. There's been times where I've done the water wash and then put hydrochloric acid in to boil it and it's gone back into solution again. Puzzles me how that happens, but make sure I thoroughly wash all the acids and residue off. Beautiful. Alright. It just stays right in the bottom, doesn't even try and go out. So now I'll put some hydrochloric acid and give it a little boil for half an hour or so. And I'll be back once it's boiled. I had the gold boiling in hydrochloric acid for about half an hour or so. The gold's already looking nicer. And I don't waste acids ever. This has still got plenty of strength in it and can be used for things like removing solder from boards. There's a bit of gold floating on top, so to knock that down, break the surface tension. So what I do is I pour this into a bottle for used hydrochloric acid. I have some boards I need to get solder taken off of, so I'll be using it for that. Might only seem like a little bit, but I've got a bottle full, so it adds up. So now what I want to do is thoroughly wash this to get rid of every little skerrick of hydrochloric acid. And I have to make sure that I get rid of every trace of hydrochloric acid, because the next step is to boil it in dilute nitric. And of course, if there's any hydrochloric left in there, it'll start dissolving gold with the nitric. It's only a little bit of gold. It's not really worth going all this fuss for, but so that you guys can see. Normally what I would do at this point with this little bit of gold is just put it aside and then refine it all when the time comes. But for now that's alright. I don't want to dilute this anymore. I just took whatever skerrick was in there. Now I just want to pour this water off into something. I'm just trying to think what I can use. There's a container over here. Pour it into that. This is hot water. I boiled the kettle about 10 minutes ago, so it's not steaming, but it's still hot. I usually find 4 or 5 rinses is usually good enough. I haven't had any dramas with it causing aquaregia after 4 or 5 rinses. And the gold's still settling nicely. It's pretty good. I'll give it one more rinse. Probably don't need to do this next step of boiling it in dilute nitric, but I find it just helps that little bit. I know that this is a longer wash process than what most people do, but I do what works for me. If you look back at one of my videos where I refined some jewellery, you'll see that afterwards I took the gold to the pawnbroker I know, and he tested it on his machine and it came back 4 nines fine. He said he'd never seen gold so pure. So while I know it works, I keep doing it. So now I'm just going to get a pipette full of nitric. Probably don't even need a pipette full, but it's alright. Better to be safe than sorry. Now that's dilute nitric in there now. I'm going to put that on the boil. Let's rinse this top off because it had hydrochloric on it. And give that a boil for another half hour or so in dilute nitric. And then all I do is wash the acid off it, just give it a few rinses and it's good to melt. So I'll do all that and I'll come back when it's either time to melt or when I've melted it. Alright, so I've had the gold melted and sitting in some hot sulfuric acid to clean it up a bit, and it's smaller than I would have hoped for, but looks can be deceiving. So just make it safe to handle. Beautiful gold. Looks really good. So we'll go inside and weigh it. Okay, so it is a nice little button. Again, some people would say looks like not much gold for the amount of work, and others would say it's free gold. All my e-waste cost me nothing, I get it for free. However, I've broken 6 beakers this week and I only get roughly $10 a week from YouTube, so I'm running at a huge loss. However, that's not always going to be the case. Now, going by this chart, 1 gram, I hope you can see that, I'm looking through the viewfinder, it doesn't show up very well. 1 gram in Australian dollars is almost $150. So 1 gram even is good money, you know, getting paid $150 to do something that I enjoy. So this should be more than 1 gram. I've got a calculator, a gold calculator on my phone. It's an app that you can download. Gold Calculator Australia. So what I do is I put in the carat of the gold and then the grams, and then hit calculate, and it will tell me roughly what the gold would be worth. So we'll turn this on, weigh the gold, 1.77, 1.76. I would say this is 999, but not 9999. It's just got a little bit of frosting. Either that or it could have just needed to be in the sulfuric acid a bit longer, because it's got a white film on the back of it, which I've not seen before. And that looks like, yeah, that's borax. So it just needed to be in the sulfuric longer, that's all. Okay, so what was it? Now it's 1.77. Yeah, it's 1.76. Alright. 1.76. Calculate. This gold is worth $217.94. Not bad in anyone's language as far as I'm concerned. So for doing something I enjoy doing, it's a hobby, and it cost me nothing except a few beakers and a tiny bit of acid. I've got $200. When you think of that, the beakers probably, oh, they might have cost a bit more. 6 beakers, yeah, they would have cost more than 200. But hey, I mean, I go through beakers anyway. It's part of the thing. Yeah, my girlfriend broke a few, but you know, there's wear and tear. They break all the time. It's par for the course. So you can't really gripe about breaking beakers. It's a given. So at the end of the day, $200, I think is pretty good. Yeah, I would have liked a lot more. I think I should have gotten a lot more, but it is what it is. So there you go, guys. I hope this was informative, interesting, and appreciate you guys watching. And feel free to leave comments, tell me what you think. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.